Good morning and welcome back to the One Celtic Fans View. I hope this Monday morning finds you well. Make sure to smash the thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done already, as we are trying to hit that massive number of 18,000. Yes, 18,000 subscribers. We're on 17,477. So we've got just over 500 to go. Anyway, with a lot of fake news headlines out there over the past couple of weeks when it comes to regards to Celtic. Over the weekend, seen a fake shirt headline. Yep, the internet went crazy with a third away strip supposedly leaked. And when you looked at it, you're like, there's not a chance in the love of God that Adidas would have been so brave to come out with a shirt like that. And it was proven to be fake. It was a concept that was made up by someone on Twitter. Never mind. In the world of fake news, fake headlines for Celtic FC, there is one headline that kind of stuck out. There's a couple of headlines that have stuck out over the last 24 hours or so about Celtic. Now, when it comes to Celtic headlines, we all know that one Celtic headline that isn't fake is the fact that there is interest in O. And one of the Scottish media dinosaurs. One of the Scottish media dinosaurs. Yeah, I'm going to call Hugh Keevins that because he is a dinosaur when it comes to Scottish football media. And he talks absolutely wash on a daily basis with anything regards to Celtic. What we do know is there has been contact by another club for O. That is almost, Brendan Rodgers did say that there was something going on in the background there, and we'll see how it comes out. But Hugh Keevins responded with disbelief that Celtic could get £4 million from O. And he said, look, he's nowhere near the player that Adam Ida is. Why does Celtic... And he's basically trying to... You know what he's like, Hugh Keevins. It's anything to try and have a dig at Celtic on an ongoing basis. Celtic do need to hurry up and get transfer done this week. I believe that there will be transfer activity that will happen this week. Players both out the club that are not going to be needed throughout the season. There's no use taking them to America, and there's no point in taking them to America. So I think you'll see outgoings and hopefully incomings ramp up this week. Brendan Rodgers did say on Friday evening that he wanted to see players in before they went to America because he wants to try and get in as much pre-season with the players as possible. Will it be a goalkeeper? Will it be Adam Ida? I think that one might actually go through. And another piece of Celtic transfer news and speculation, Rio Hatate has made the news headlines over here after speaking to a Japanese outlet. Yes, Rio Hatate says... here we go again. He did this last season, didn't he, when he was in Japan? Remember when Celtic went on the tour of Japan? And let's face it, Rio Hatate went at the start. And I did say this, and people shot me down at the first game of the season last year. And I watched every single pre-season game last season. And David Turnbull at the time was in far better form than Rio Hatate. So when it came to the first game of the season, and Rio Hatate was dropped from the team for the in-form Turnbull, who you got to remember, Turnbull, the first couple of games of the season, scored a good few goals. And it's shown why he was in form rather than Rio Hatate. And we all know that Rio Hatate had been looking, he had one eye looking out the door at Celtic Park, seeing if there was any agents coming in to try and sign him. And it never happened. And Rio's form last year wasn't what it was the year before, was it? And the Japanese star, he's been at it again in Japan. Rio, speaking to the media, said there are still many higher leagues in Europe. So if I can challenge for those leagues, I want to do so. I would like to play in the Premier League as well as Spain and Italy, which I am personally interested in, says Rio Hatate. Hatate, the fact that he does want to perform at that higher level of football, it's a higher level of football. I mean, if he wants to come to Spain and play, it's far higher level than Scottish football. And I'm going to be going around some of the lower league teams in Spain to show you the massive stadiums that they have, 29,000 seater stadiums in like a third division and stuff, that they fill for games. So watch out for those videos coming up. But Rio Hatate, he's getting to that age where he's an asset for Celtic. If he can do it in the Champions League, he'll be an even better asset for Celtic. And if he can do it in the Champions League, we'll get good money for him. At 26-year-old, he's got a couple of years before he hits his peak. He's probably at the price range where you're going to get between 10 and 15 million for him if we sell him on. And that'd be a good piece of business for Celtic. You could maybe get a little bit more if he turns up. if the real, it's like Slim Shady, isn't it? Will the real Slim Shady please turn up? Will the real Hatate please turn up? And then if he does, he's absolutely wonderful football player. Some people say he's the best football player at Celtic. Other people say he's a bit lackadaisical and a bit slow, and he doesn't run back and defend as well as he could. Maybe that's an attribute to his game that Brendan Rodgers may improve on this season. But Celtic having a player in the ranks on a lengthy contract means only one thing, and it means a high fee if we do get anyone coming in for him next season. I don't think you'll get anyone coming in for Rio Hatate this season. It just doesn't make sense. He was that injured so many times last season, and his form was way off. Absolutely way off. Now, before Celtic fans start raging at the fact that Rio Hatate has been talking about transfer away from speculation away from Celtic, look at it this way. If he wants to get a move to the English Premiership, if he wants to get a move to Spain, if he wants to get a move to Italy, he will have to perform at the highest league in the Champions League. He'll have to perform at the highest level of the Champions League this season, which all makes it good for Celtic. It means that he wants to have one absolutely fantastic season with Celtic. And then if that happens and we do win a couple of games in the Champions League, we get some money in the bank from the Champions League, even more than the money that we're going to get already. You've got to remember that I think it's still 250,000 per goal. And if he can score a couple of goals and if he can get us help us along to a couple of wins this season, I don't begrudge the player a move to a so-called bigger league. And well, they are bigger leagues, let's not face it, because Scotland, it's a league of 12. And it's just a league of 12. Now, there is one other headline before I get onto an article which talks about a potential starting 11 for Celtic at the beginning of the season. Remember, that team that started on Friday night has no bearing whatsoever on how the team will set up the first game of the season. Secondly, the third or fourth going forward from that. But there was one headline that did grab my a little bit of amusement. And there's an ex-Celtic player who won 6 titles at Celtic. Did he? God. I didn't need to check that, just make sure it's right. An ex-Celtic player is heading off to Australia. Yes, he's heading off. He's going south, and he's taking that 24-hour flight to Auckland FC. I've added former Scotland and Celtic great Jonathan Gould. Jonathan Gould. Oh, Gouldy. I've got a funny story about Gould. I can remember going down south to watch Man United Monaco in the Champions League, and then Celtic were playing the next night. And I can remember we drove back up the next morning from Manchester and we went straight up to Celtic Park. And Gouldy was in the car park. And I'm like, oh, hey, all right, Gouldy. Shouting at him, talking to him about the game last night. It was interesting. Just to get his thoughts on John Collins at the time, who was at Monaco. But anyway, Gouldy. Celtic great. Tell me your thoughts on Jonathan Gould. I know what it'll be. I know exactly what it'll be. But give me your thoughts on Jonathan Gould. And fair play to him to getting that gig in Australia. Listen, if Kenny Miller can get a job, with the one and only Ronnie Dyler, anything's possible in football. Absolutely anything's possible in football. Anyway, to the last story of the day. The last story of the day is there's a publication out today talking about a potential Celtic starting 11, and I just thought I'd go through it just to see what you think. Anyway, they think that the starting goalkeeper for the season might be Peter van de Vindal Jensen. The Sparta Prague goalkeeper could be Celtic number 1. Right back will be Alistair Johnston, and then centre back will be Flavius Danneluch. I probably pronounced that wrong, but anyway, who cares? After Austria's out of 2024, it could be the fact that they could get the centre back in, and then Cameron Carter-Vickers also would be in the defence. And then this is where the publication lets itself down, because it says that we're going to start the season with Greg Taylor at left back. Yep, it said that we're going to start the season with Greg Taylor, expecting competition for the defender, but he's the man to beat right now. It says, and that's where you're thinking that if Celtic have got any ambition at all in Europe, they will replace Greg Taylor. Greg Taylor is a fantastic player, and he's a player that has upped his game over the last 3 seasons. And he is the man to displace off that position. But if Celtic have got any ambition at all, you're going to be getting a left back in that's better than Greg Taylor, let's be honest. But they go with Greg Taylor. They go in midfield with the centre mid is going to be Callum McGregor, as always. And then they go with Paulo Bernardo, with O'Reilly possibly on the move. They say Paulo Bernardo will be in that centre midfield with Rio Hatate. Rio Hatate, who's looking to make up from the lack of games last season. And then they say that Jota will be back on the wing, on the right wing. They say that Celtic could start this season with Jota, with Adam Ida up front, and then Dyson Maida on the other side. It's maybe a dream team scenario as far as Celtic is concerned. But do you really think that Adam Ida is going to come in the first game of the season and displace the one and only Kyogo for the first game of the season? I think not. But they're saying, the publication is saying that this is possibly how the Celtic team could start the season. Tell me your thoughts on that in the comment section. As always, debate everything out in the comment section. It's absolutely lovely to see you all in there. And on that note, have an absolutely fantastic day, Celtic fans all around the world.